Good afternoon, everyone. This is Chad Erickson. It's my pleasure to welcome you to our webinar this month, and it's so grateful to have our guest, Dr. Jonathan Kaplan. I'll introduce him in a minute. We absolutely look forward to this, and it's been a wonderful year again. Here we are in December, and it kind of baffles my mind to think that we're on our 12th this year, but we have a fantastic audience. We appreciate your attendance and always here. And I get feedback, and I appreciate that. I got a lot of feedback after our last one of different ideas and concepts, and so we're always trying to make our presentation better and to find the best presenters for you, to give you information that's going to help you be as successful as possible in your practices, and today's no different. Just kind of letting everyone know, especially if it's your first time here, we are recording this session. If you want to watch it after the fact or share it with members of your staff, you'll be welcome to do that. We'll actually have it posted on our YouTube page by tomorrow end of day, if not sooner. And additionally, if you have questions for Dr. Kaplan throughout the presentation, I invite you to enter those on the control panel that you'll see on your screen. Just put those in the chat feature. I'll take care of those, and I'll be moderating that. I'm going to go now and introduce Dr. Kaplan. So, Dr. Jonathan Kaplan is a board-certified plastic surgeon based in San Francisco, California. He's also the founder and CEO of Build My Bod Health. This is an online marketplace for healthcare services that allows consumers to determine cost and out-of-pocket expenses, out-of-pocket procedures, purchase non-surgical services, and in exchange, the healthcare providers receive consumer contact info or lead they can follow up on. I met Dr. Kaplan at the aesthetic show, I think it was about 3 years ago, and I loved where he was going. It was actually, this tool was in its infancy, and as I heard him talk about it, it just resonated with me, and I loved Generation Psi. It made sense, and then we're again a few months in Tampa at a friend, and hearing, I thought, boy, this content that our doctors need to hear. This is so important as another way to really build leads coming in, and different than you normally think. So anyway, Dr. Kaplan, thank you again for taking time to be here today. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my webinar or my camera so I'm not a distraction, and I'll turn the time over to you.
Thanks so much, Chad. I appreciate it. Thank you to AdviceMe for having me. Hello, everyone. I'm Jonathan Kaplan. Thanks so much for attending today. And as you know from email reminders gotten, we're going to be talking about capturing leads before your competition does. As Chad mentioned, I am the founder of Build My Bod Health. It's the only disclaimer I have to mention in regards to that price transparency platform. And if you want to have a follow-up read about this particular topic, I published an article in Modern Aesthetic. You can Google it, get to know your potential patients. Don't go read it yet. I think you'll find my presentation visually and hopefully more engaging. So stick with me, but this is what we're talking about. And if you want a little more follow-up aside from the recording that you can see at a later date, you can also read this article in Modern Aesthetics. Surgeon, I'll get into a little bit more of my background later, but I'm in the trenches with you. So when consumers arrive on our website, we need to capture their contact information. We need to know who they are. And that when we're talking about, we're really just talking about call to action button on our website. So this is the different call to action buttons that each of us have on our website, maybe the chat feature, book online, question, or get an online consult. And these are all good, as far as, once you try to get somebody in your sales funnel, those call to action buttons are great for people that are a little bit further down the sales funnel. They're a little closer to pulling the trigger. These aren't necessarily the people that are just starting their research. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. These call to action buttons at the bottom, that's great for those people at the bottom of the funnel, but what about everybody else in the funnel? So those are all these leads up towards the top of the funnel. The people are just starting their research. These are real people. You don't want to just dismiss them. So how are you going to capture them? And what I found is that whether somebody's just starting their research or whether they're ready to pull the trigger and come to your come for a consultation, the best call to action button I found is get a quote now. To have a button on the homepage of your website, say to the consumer, hey, we know you want pricing information. You click on this, you provide your contact information, we can get you price info. But it can be a manual response. It's got to be automated. So that's what I want to talk to you about, is that the Get a Quote Now button is so tantalizing to the consumer that they will provide you contact information and provide it to you before they provide it to your competitors who don't have a Get a Quote Now button on their website. So what I'm showing you here is my ingredients for the call to action secret sauce. A call to action button, to be really effective, it should be provide information to the consumer that they otherwise find very difficult to obtain. And so pricing, while yeah, you can find like use averages online, that's not really useful or actionable for the consumer, because they want to know how much you charge for particular non-surgical or surgical service. So if you can provide that information to them, they're going to be very loyal to you, in the sense that they will be willing, that will, if you leverage that pricing information to provide that to them, because you're the only person they can get it from for your particular procedures, that will incentivize the consumer to provide their contact information to you, and it requires very little motivation. That's another great thing of a good call to action button, is that if it's a matter of putting in my contact information to get that difficult to find information, the consumer's willing to do it, because we're sort of part of this Amazon mentality that people are willing to put contact information to something. And then this goes back to what I was saying before, is you can't just have someone ask for pricing and you respond and say, oh, we'll get back to you, or your office has to type up a long email explaining pricing, or telling them why you can't give them pricing until they come in for a consult. The other thing that's got to be really important for the call to action to work is that when they request that difficult to find information and they put in their contact information, they have to be able to get that pricing information in an automated way. They have to get it right then, right there. They're not into waiting for you to get to them. Plus, that's a pain behind for your office staff to follow with them with a typed up email every time. So those are ingredients to a great action button. And that's what a Get a Quote Now button does. It meets every one of the criteria. So let's look at this beautiful website designed by Advice Media. This is Dr. Strawn. She's a dermatologist in New York, Aglow Dermatology. And if you look at the call to action button she has now, pay bill online, book an appointment, set an online visit, those are all good action buttons, but think about where they are in the sales funnel. Lower down, I mean, pay bill online, already a patient, obviously, but book an appointment is ready to do that, start an online visit, ready to do that. So the best way to capture patients earlier on in their research phase and capture them before your competitor does. And that is a Get a Quote Now button. Think about it, just compare it. Think about which one would you be more likely to click on. You know, whether, regardless of which phase of the process of the sales funnel you're in, you're going to want to click on Get a Quote Now button, because you want to know how much it costs, and then maybe you'll book an appointment, or then maybe you'll start an online visit. So this is really the way to. And so what happens when a consumer clicks Get a Quote Now button, it brings them to a price estimator that is nicely embedded into the doctor's website by Advice Media in this example. But it's really nice price estimator where the consumer can check pricing, and but only after they put in the contact key. So what we're talking is we're talking about price transparency, but combining that with lead generation. Again, we want to leverage the patient's need and want to get pricing information specifically from you, their doctor, their med spa director. They will know pricing. So again, leverage that, get their contact information in return. So let me show you how this works in the real world. This is my website, Pacific Heights Plastic Surgery in San Francisco. The consumer comes here. They immediately see that Get a Quote Now button at the top. It's a great call to action button. They can come to my price estimator. They can look at the different categories of service. They can even check insurance plan. If you offer anything that's covered that's medically necessary, they can see their out-of-pocket expense. But most of the time we're talking about cosmetic procedures. They want to know their out-of-pocket cost for that cosmetic procedure. So you can drill down to whatever procedure they want to read about, upper eyelid lift, and watch a video on this, and I'll bring up a video a little bit later. But they can watch a video without having to be redirected to YouTube, look at before and after photos. But eventually, they're going to want to know how much this costs. So they add it to their wish list, but they don't see the pricing just yet. They have to submit the wish list, and this is how we capture their contact information. They put in all their graphics. They opt in, being followed up by the doctor's office. Get that free account. They submit that wish list, and then all pricing is immediately and automatically downloaded onto the screen for them to see. They can choose to schedule a consultation or apply for financing with care credit. All this is done within the price estimator embedded into the doctor's own website. So it's really slick. We've checked all those boxes about what this great call to action button is, that it's hard to find information, that they put in their contact information, and we provide information, that pricing information automatically, and we get an email return, which I'll go into a little bit later. We get an email with all the contact information. But before I go any further, I want to be very clear that just because I have a price estimator on my website does not mean I'm trying to compete on price. People always bring this up to me, and I don't exactly understand the question, in the sense that, if you want to compete on price, you can choose to undercut your competitor. You having a price estimator that captures the consumer's contact information, that does not inherently mean you have to compete on price. You're just using pricing as the carrot to get into your sales funnel. The other thing I think is funny when people say, oh, we don't want to compete on price, we don't want to put a price estimator in. Well, does that mean that you never run any specials? You never have any promotions? You never have any flash sales? And I'm not, it's a rhetorical question, because obviously we all run specials, and I'm not judging us, any of us, including myself, that we run specials. But what do you think you're doing when you run a special? You're competing on price. So because you put a price estimator on your website does not mean you're competing on price. All you're doing is using that price estimator and using price as a carrot to get followers, social media followers, and web traffic into my sales funnel. That's why I'm doing it. Now, not everybody's going to always come to your website. We're going to get a lot of people from social media. So you can actually use the same idea of price estimator to capture leads from your followers on social media. So think about this. Whenever you post a video or before and after photo on social media, what's the first thing people ask? Surgical or non-surgical? They ask how much it costs. So I want to show you an effective way to answer this question without giving milk away for free and getting contact information in the process. Because think about how much time and effort, those of us who use social media, you're like feeding this beast with so much content, and we're hoping somebody follows up with it. But let's be a little bit more proactive and find out who people are that are followers. Because if their Instagram handle is Sexy Cajun Diva, which that's a real Instagram handle, someone follows me, I don't really know who they are. So I'm going to show you how to find out who these people are by the simple question of how much does it cost. So in this example, doctor posts a mommy makeover, and then as soon as he posts that mommy makeover, the Gail Pretty Lips asks how much that is. Then the doctor, trying to be a nice guy, answers and says, oh, the price is between $8,300 and $15,000. Okay. Well, first of all, a range that huge really isn't that helpful, certainly isn't actionable. But more importantly, this doctor has pretty much given the milk away free. They've told them how much it costs, and they really have no opportunity to find out really who this patient is. Now, maybe they go to Gail Pretty Lips' go to her Instagram page and follow up and say, hey, would you come in for a consult? But that's a little bit stalkerish. I mean, the patient is okay asking that question on your Instagram page. They don't necessarily want you to follow up with them on their page. So that's the wrong way to handle a question about price and the wrong way to capture a lead. So let me show you the way to answer this question when people ask you about pricing on social media or anywhere, really. Here's an example of me on Instagram, a pin I posted on Instagram, had a video before and after photo, and sure enough, one of the first questions was, how much would that run? Now, when patient how much it was going to cost right off the bat, we directed them to our price estimator on our website. We just gave them the link, say, hey, you can check all of our pricing on our page on our website. She went to our page and she selected that page, and this is actually the same person who asked that question that last slide. She really did go to our website, and this is truly a wish list that she submitted. So every time somebody submits a wish list to check pricing, they get a copy, email copy in their inbox, and we copy in our inbox. And this is the patient's email wish list that she submitted. So we see her name, we see her email address and phone number, we even see where she's from, that we asked them to put in their city, state, zip code. So we get all this great information. So now we've gone from this nebulous Instagram handle to a real person who we can then follow up with. Now, this person, the specific patient that I'm using as an example, she didn't come in immediately. 4 months, we nurtured her through our funnel. We educated her. We talked to her about those procedures that she was interested in. And here she is. She came in and got an operation, and we were able to, the only way we found out who she was is because she submitted a wish list. We got her contact info. We followed up with her, and it works for surgical and non-surgical services. Don't think that this is just surgical options. And the thing about this patient is from having a good result, her writing us a 5-star review, this is such a huge patient satisfier. I mean, check it out. On her Yelp review, she explicitly mentioned that one of the things she liked the most about us is that we had pricing available on our website. So big patient satisfier. Now, just kind of back up a second, I'm going to give you my story. After I finished my fellowship at the Cleveland Clinic, I moved back to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I was in practice for 6 years. And my wife and I moved to San Francisco 5.5 years ago. And I took over an existing practice, and that doctor only had 200 email addresses in his database. He had a website, but not really any discernible SEO traction. But this is the reason I'm telling you about this move that I made. Because when I moved here, I moved into a building with lots of different, it's a multi-specialty, not a multi-specialty, surgeon, nephrologist, primary care, whatever. Everybody's here. But there were 7 other plastic surgeons in this medical office building. So I needed to separate myself from all these other doctors. And one of the ways, and in the process of separating myself, I've grown in 5.5 years, I've grown an email marketing database from 200 email addresses to over 8,500 email addresses. The question is, how did I do it? And what I did is I put that price estimator into my existing website, and it's basically called a widget, and that way the consumer can check pricing. Now, whenever they go to some wish list, as I showed you before, this is the email wish list, and they submit that wish list. We get a copy of it, the patient's name, the patient's email address, the patient's phone number. They see our office logo for a little customization. Of course, it's got the estimated cost. So it's a great way to engage that patient, get on your sales funnel. Your competitor is probably not going to have a price estimator on your website, so this is a great way for you to capture them before your competitor does, unless your competitor already has a price estimator, then they're getting all the leads. But anyway, a great way for you to engage that consumer. But you don't want to stop there. You want to re-engage them. So look a little closer at this email list that the consumer gets. Not only does it have their contact information, but it also has a link for a promotion video to get them to come back to your website. Additionally, I showed you that video, the upper eyelid lid was in that example I showed you. There's also a link to bring them to watch a video on this particular procedure, and this particular procedure was a lip augmentation fillers. They can click on that, brought back to your website, watch that video. And if you think about it, it's not such a stretch that if somebody's checking out your pricing, then it's not unreasonable that if it's a non-surgical service, that they should be able to purchase that. Sure enough, they also have the ability from that email wish list that the consumer gets, they can actually click a link, come back to your website, and purchase that non-surgical service. So I'll just show you really quickly. If you click on any of those links to see a video or to purchase something, it brings them back to the website. You can share that link with a friend. And in this example, they can see I do a dental block. I can see that I use a cannula for my lip fillers. So again, this is clearly usable for non-surgical services. They can look at before and after photos, and then they can actually choose to purchase this non-surgical service through my price estimator. But for them to see the price, they still have to log in. Once they log in, they see the pricing. They don't have to be redirected to PayPal. They can actually purchase all this within the price estimator on my existing website. So it's pretty slick. Now, one thing I want to point out, and I'll go back to this in a second, is that notice that they had to log in to see my price. So for all of you that have an online store on your website, you probably have a store where they can go to that store on your website, and they can look at all the services you provide or all the products that you sell, and they can see the price. Well, the thing is, you don't know who any of those people are because they're just looking at the pricing, and they may not buy it. So you have no idea who they are because they're not purchasing it. You don't get their contact information. But for us, they have to log in just to see the price of a service before they buy it. So we know who they are because they had to log in. I'll show you what I mean by that. So really quickly, let's take a look at how I've used price transparency to generate all of these leads. First off, generated a lead when a patient submits a wish to check pricing. We've generated a lead when the patient chooses to schedule a consultation through the price estimator. That means they're a little further on that funnel. We generate a lead and dollars when the patient actually makes an online purchase. But just like Amazon, somebody logs in to check the pricing for someone on a purchase, they have to add it to their cart. And just like Amazon, if they leave that in that cart but don't buy it, they're going to generate an abandoned cart email that's come about 15 minutes later. They put something in their cart, they don't buy it. 15 minutes later, they get this email saying, hey, you left that Botox in your cart. Click on this link to come back and buy it. But even if they don't buy it, that's still okay, because this same email goes to my front office staff, so we can see the patient's name, see the patient's email address, and the patient's phone number. And I find that this works well with a lot of med spas and things like that, where people want the price of something, but they're not necessarily going to buy it. They still have to log in to check the pricing. So a lot of abandoned cart wish lists It's sent to the doctor, and then the doctor is able to follow up and say, hey, I know you were checking price, you were looking at adding things to the cart. Can we help with purchasing it? Either way, you know who they are. So we did do a study that actually got published to see how effective this was. Put 100 procedures on my website in my price estimator my first year in San Francisco. The result, of course, to that first year, no paid market. And what we found is we got 412 wish lists, which is the emails, from 208 unique individuals. If you drill down into those 208 unique prospects, what happened? Well, 17.8% of them came in for consultation, but you may be more focused on the 82.2% that did not come for a consultation. That's okay, because that means that they saw a price, maybe they realized it was out of their budget, so they don't come in and waste their time and my time on a consultation that's going to go nowhere. But I still captured all of their contact information. We were able to add to our email marketing database and send out monthly email newsletters. So this is a great way to just expand your email marketing database and then follow up with them in the future, and maybe eventually they'll want to come in. We actually have found that these patients do eventually come in. But if you look at that 17.8% that came for a consultation, 62% of them booked a procedure, which I was happy about. Now you say, well, what if they come in price aware or not price aware? There you go, book or not book. Well, what we found when we looked at this study is that we found, as I mentioned, price aware patients that came for a consultation, 62.2% of them booked a procedure. Whereas the patients that came in that were not aware of price, only 44% of them booked. So ostensibly, more of those consultations ended in sticker shock, wasting time for everybody involved. If you do the math, we found that if patients come in that are price aware, they're 41% more likely to book a procedure than non-price aware patients. So you just have to decide, want to waste the time on consults that go nowhere or make your consultations more efficient. This is a great way to make them more efficient at making sure the consumer has a good idea of how much it costs. Doesn't have to be exact. Nobody is ever coming and saying, oh, that's not what it's online, because we'll explain to them why maybe they aren't just a candidate for one syringe of Juvederm. They need 3 syringes of Juvederm. It's just the same way you educate a patient that comes in with unreasonable expectations. And the thing that's cool about it, these patients, these consumers, they just keep coming back to my website. We took a look at this and found that consumers that were submitting 3 or more wish lists on average came back and submitted another wish list 41.4 days later. So think about it. So we know that it takes time for people to make a decision on whether to get a procedure, surgical or non-surgical. So that's not surprising. But the point here is that the fact that they kept coming back to my website, submitting another wish list, maybe trying to check a different combination of procedures, seeing if the price had changed. But the point being is that they kept coming back, they submitted another wish list, and now we know that they're on our website. So before I had a price estimate, they might have been coming back to the website, but there was nothing on my website that necessitated them submitting a wish list or providing their contact information or letting me know that they were there. Now we know they're there, and now we follow up and interject and say, hey, is there something we can do with? We see you're still looking at this. So this is great for returning traffic, but it's also great for your returning patients. So again, this is great to get people in your sales funnel if they're new to you, but it's a great way to keep them. So here's a patient. I do all my surgery. We put it on social media as long as the patient gives us permission. So here's an upper eyelid lift I did on this particular patient. We did the procedure. He let us put it on social media. He was really pleased with the results. A few months later, we noticed that this patient submitted another wish list for a neck lift. So, that's not unreasonable for patients to be thinking about doing other things, but the difference is we knew he was thinking about it because he submitted a wish list. So we follow up with him and say, hey, you want to come and talk about a neck lift? And sure enough, he did. He came and got a neck lift and put that on social media as well. That was January, okay? So in December, we noticed the same patient, it's another wish list for Lipo 360. And sure enough, we call him up and say, hey, you want to come in and talk about your Lipo 360? And he did. He came back in and got surgery. So from being a great patient, it was a great way. Having a price estimate is a great way to retain patients in your funnel. So again, you get them into your funnel first, and then you can keep them there. Now, you may ask me, well, you know what? What if my competitor has a price estimator? And well, then they're going to get leads before you. Because again, if you have something on your website that is tantalizing enough to get people in your funnel, then you're going to get them before your competitor does. Now, you may say, well, what if I have a price estimator and my competitor does? Well, I'll be honest with you. Eventually, everybody will have a price estimator on their website because every patient is demanding price transparency. They will. And in California, we would say we're high. You don't think that patients are going to demand price transparency. It's happening. So you either can wait and let your competitor get a price estimator first, or you can get first and you'll get the lead before they will. But eventually everybody will have a price estimator, so you might as well be in the game early, generate those leads, and then if everybody does get a price estimator, at least you're still in that game and you're still capturing leads from from the consumers out there. So anyway, what do you do with all those leads? So again, I started with 200 email addresses. I now have over 8,500 in 5.5 years. Office staff follow up with everybody, but it's a much quicker conversation because it's coming for a consult. The thing is, we automatically sync all of these leads into whatever email marketing database you have, MailChimp, My Constant Contact, MyMedLeads, and then from there we market to these people, remarket them with email newsletters. The other thing that is about having a huge database is that you can reduce your dependence on digital advertising. Let me explain it to you with this example. So here's a typical Facebook ad that if you create a Facebook ad, that when you advertise on Facebook, you're not advertising to 2 billion people on Facebook. You're narrowing that down to your demographic. So in this example, I narrowed it down to 10-mile radius around San Francisco, and then I chose these interests of shopping and fashion, women's health, beauty, fitness. Huge juggernaut. They actually can't tell me if the people site cosmetic services that I offer. That's kind of crazy. So the only thing I can do, I can approximate what those people might be interested in. So they may be into fitness and wellness, and maybe there's a Venn diagram where they overlap and they're also interested in cosmetic services. But isn't that crazy that you can't know that there's this, because people don't list their interests as cosmetic surgery or cosmetic non-surgical services. And then if you're using Facebook, after I narrowed it down to this age range, it shows that I'm going to be reaching an estimated 3,600 to 9,600 people. Well, that's a lot of money to spend on an approximate demographic of who you think you're going for. Whereas with my own email marketing database, I've got 8,500 people I know are interested in the services I provide. How do I know they're interested in the services I provide? Why am I not having to rely on whether they're interested in fitness and wellness and maybe that crosses over? The reason I know this is because they'll submitted wishlist check pricing on the service they provide. So I know they're interested in those things. So you could argue, and I am arguing, that my database is more useful than what Facebook can provide me, because my email marketing database is so large and so focused on exactly the type of consumer I'm looking for that it's way more effective than Facebook, and I don't need to pay Facebook to do some approximate advertising for them. So anyway, all these stats I went over, you can look at, as I mentioned, was this article that the study was published in a peer-reviewed journal. It's open source, you don't have to pay for it. Just Google Annals of Plastic Surgery, Price Transparency, and our article will come up. So let's talk about some benefits to your practice. So I've already talked about how this is an automated way for you to answer all pricing inquiries, and I'm going to get to how to answer those inquiries when they call your office rather than just going to your website. But it's a great way to document price estimates, avoid incorrect quotes, as I mentioned, more efficient follow-up phone calls. But check this out. Dr. Bradley Hubbard, he's a plastic surgeon in Dallas. He did his study with his own price estimator on his website, and he found that he was generating so many leads that his cost per lead is $12.50 per lead. All right. Now, most people will tell you the cost of a lead is like $100 to $300. So this is obviously a very efficient way to generate leads. And those people are interested in your services. They will eventually come in and then remarket to them with email marketing. And of course, one of the things that's always kind of a bane of our existence, this is a great way to weed out price shoppers because they can automatically check pricing, move on, rather than calling our office staff and wasting all their time on the phone. The other thing that I wanted to point out here today is something that's important this time of year: specials, promotions during the holidays. So I will show you an example here of a doctor. This isn't mine. It's a doctor sent out an email newsletter saying that we've got all the specials for Halloween, for filler, buy 3 syringes, 2 free, Botox, cool sculpting. And when I got this email, the first thing I thought was, this is going to be so confusing to the front office staff to know which specials they're calling about or how much am I supposed to charge. Just with so many specials, there's so much room for error. And the other thing you notice is down at the bottom, it says call now to purchase. So do they call now and then have to pay online, pay over the phone right at the beginning? Which, of course, again, you have that error aspect that they get charged the amount, or they call the appointment, then they come in, then they get the, and then they finally pay for it. So a lot of extra steps, and consumers don't want that anymore. So what I realized, there's a better way to handle this. So when you send out an email newsletter with specials, you should hyperlink all of those specials so that when they click on filler, it takes them directly to that procedure on your price estimator. And I call these deep links. Just to use the Amazon example again, if you get an email from Amazon saying, hey, buy these shoes, or you might like these shoes, you click on the link, and then it takes you to Amazon.com, and then you got to find those shoes somewhere on that monstrosity of a website. No, what happens is you get an email about, hey, you might like shoes. You click that link, it takes you directly to those shoes. You can buy those shoes right then and there. That's called deep link when it takes you directly to the service that you want. And so that's what I'm suggesting here is that if you have a deep link for all these procedures so that the consumer has their email newsletter, they click on it. Now, instead of them having to call to purchase, now they can purchase online now, and it eliminates the human factor of charging the wrong amount. So let's say you click on filler, it brings you directly to the filler procedure on your price estimate where they can buy 3 syringes, and then that you know that they're getting 2 free when they come in because they purchased it online, and they're going to pay the right amount. There's not going to be a mistake in how much they're charged because you've set this up ahead of time. The same thing as they click a link to buy Botox, straight to that procedure. They can buy it right then and there. There's no human error involved. Same thing with full sculpting. You bring them straight to that procedure. So with all these specials, this is a great way to increase your sales by having them purchase it directly from your email rather than having to call and hope they eventually come and pay for it. This is also, price estimator also is great for search engine optimization. Now, I'm not going to tell you that I know the Google algorithm. One thing I do know is that the longer somebody spends on your website, that's a signal to Google that they're finding what they want, then you must be providing good content. They're staying there longer. And if they're staying there longer, Google is going to raise you higher in organic search. Because I'm not talking about paid ads. I'm just talking about organic search, that you're going to go to the top of the list if people are spending more time on your website. Because, again, that's a signal to Google that they're finding what they want. So you need to find a way to keep people on your website longer. And I found it. I found that with a pricing page on my website, at least in my own research, and even with Dr. Hubbard, he did his own research, people spend more time on the price page than they do on any other page of my website. And if they're staying there longer, that's a signal to Google that I have better content, and that's going to help in my organic search ranking. So Price Estimator has so many benefits, including SEO. Now, the last thing I want to go over is, everybody asks about price, so just make it as easy as possible to get that information and that you get a lead in return. So, for example, on social media, if somebody is asked about pricing, I already told you that website, something that Dr. Scottsdale does is right there in his bio. He's got a clickable link that if anybody wants to know about pricing, they can click on that and go straight to his price estimator on his website, and all of a sudden he knows who these people are and they get their pricing information they're looking for. The other thing I alluded to earlier is what about when people call? Because not everybody can go to your website to check pricing. We all get tons of phone calls asking about pricing. So that's the way my office staff handles it. We have an app that my office staff, whenever somebody calls asking about pricing, my office staff pulls out their phone. Well, they probably already have their phone out there. They're already on social media, but they pull out their phone, and when a caller calls and says, hey, I'm interested in this particular procedure, my office staff can check pricing on behalf of the caller. We don't say, go download the app and check pricing. My office staff can say, all right, what procedure you're interested in. They can add it to their wish list for the caller, and then they ask the caller what their contact information is, which they give them over the phone, and then all that price information comes up on the app. My office staff can then tell over the phone, hey, this is the cost, but also at the same time, an email is sent to both the patient and us, so we have a record of the consumer contact information. Think about how many times your office staff has told somebody the price of the phone and the person hangs up. You got nothing to show for it. You don't know who that person was. This puts an end to that. So in conclusion, I just want to tell you that I feel like I found the silver bullet to capturing contact information of lead generation. There is no better carrot than capturing patient's contact information or engaging that patient than pricing info, because now you're going to capture them earlier than somebody else maybe has a call to action button like, download our ebook. The other thing is that with all these leads, it's going to build a huge email database for future email marketing. And then with the online purchasing option, you can avoid charging the wrong amount when you have specials, but also you can increase your sales because people can purchase it right online. And obviously, this reduces sticker shock. If people have an idea of how much it costs before they come for a consult, you're going to really improve the patient experience because they're not going to be wasting their time on a consult that goes nowhere, because they're going to have a pretty good idea of the cost at a time. Again, streamlines front office processes, process you with price shoppers, And then, so many millennials on social media now that they're going to be expecting to be able to check pricing. So you might as well get their contact information and increase the conversion rate. And lastly, a price estimate on your website is going to differentiate yourself from your patients and from your competition. But again, that does not mean you have to compete on price. You're just using pricing to get into your sales funnel. So if you want a price estimate on your website to capture leads, you can request an account at buildmybot.com/providers. And then you can, of course, also ask me questions now. You can email me at drkaplan at ph-ps.com. You can follow me on social media or ask a question there. But I'm happy to answer questions now. And again, you can just request an account there. But Chad, thank you so much for having me. Thanks to Advice Media. I am here available to answer whatever questions people have.
Thank you, Dr. Kaplan, very much. And it's great information because it's, as you explained it, I heard you just recently, and it's a whole thing of what we do as digital marketing companies is we come in and we're there to help doctors generate leads for their digital marketing website, which is important. And we feel like we do a great job. We're coming in at a different level of sales funnel. This is getting it even earlier and capturing it earlier in the sequence. But more important, it's not just getting information, just giving information. It's you've got to get something in return, and that's where I think most offices fail. Is it's yes, call up, hey, how much is this? Oh, okay, great. We gave them that information, and you don't know who they are. You never hear from them again. But now you've a way to really do that, and it doesn't have to be about dropping my price. It's about building value. It's about someone feels the value immediately with some automation that goes on to the questions. And if anybody else has questions, we've got our questions module here. Go ahead and ask those. So how simple is it to add to the website?
Yes, I actually work with a lot of different web developers. And what we do is after the doctor logs in and chooses which procedures they want to highlight, because each procedure on the price estimator is specific to that practice, and you put in pricing information into the back-end provider portal. But after you choose which procedures you want to highlight, put in your pricing, then we send one line of code. It really, even if it sounds complicated, it's very, very easy. We send one line of code to the web developer that they work with, and they put that, they use that one line of code to create that price estimator on the existing site. And that's the thing, is you have to read. So other than doing our best practices, like get a quote now button that's very obvious on the homepage and a pricing tab, we put that price estimator, the web developer puts that price estimator into the doctor's existing website. One thing I want to mention is that, as doctors, we hire a developer and maybe we get unhappy with them 5 years later and we get another web developer. Well, something that people should understand is that from the perspective of building, we work with a ton of different web developers because we're sending that code to the developer for that client. They put in the price estimator. So we actually know what web developers are easy to work with. Advice Media, not that you asked me to say this, but Advice Media is extraordinarily easy to work with. They can put that code in the website. It's very easy. And you patients, most doctors on average, actually I would say 99% of the time, they're going to lead that very first day, within that first 24 hours that price estimator is on their website. So it's very, very easy to do.
Thank you, and thank you for that plug. It is very easy for us. I wanted you to answer the question instead of me, but it's been interesting just letting everybody know. We know the results of adding the call to actions, the proper call to actions to the website. In the example it showed to us, I have no problem calling the doctor out, but we've been insisting on adding this, and we're getting resistance where they're saying, no, I don't want to do that. And so it's frustrating. It's kind of like me coming in to tell you how to perform surgery. It's like, we know the best things to generate leads for you. Don't get in your own way, I guess is what I'd like to say to the doctors. Do not get in your own way here. Let those that are doing this help you and do it better.
Because we've done this with over 250 doctors. So we know what the best practices are. It's the call to action button that's above the seam on desktop and mobile, a pricing tab, because you want to make it as easy as possible for your consumer to find this, so they're providing you with contact information before you go over to your competitor.
Absolutely. A couple more questions. One is, how does your office staff really, really well? What about after hours? How do you set that up to follow up after hours?
So we haven't done anything about we don't like have an answering service that follows up after hours. But the reason I'm not as worried about that is because they always say that you just follow up with somebody within 2 minutes. Well, I feel like this is also changing the paradigm, because when people are contacting or following up with you, they either want one of two things: they want a book appointment, or they want to know how much it costs. And we have true online booking on our website. So if the person after hours wants to book an appointment, they have it right there, very obvious on our website.
Yeah.
And if they want to know the price, they get it instantaneously. So we don't really have to follow up within 2 minutes anymore, because we already gave them their contact information, and then we will follow up with them on the next business day. And I don't feel like that's really been a problem, because people get the information, and this really just separates us from any other doctor around us, because nobody else has the pricing available. Everybody makes a big deal about pricing. And when we make it so easy for them to check it, they're so happy. They're so, I mean, I get those. I mean, I only showed you one Yelp review, but we get tons of Yelp reviews of people telling us how happy they are that we provide pricing.
That's awesome, and I appreciate sharing that. Another question we had that came in is, how do you use price estimator when with procedures for insurance companies? Many patients ask what the deductible will be. So
we work with so we don't work with cosmetic doctors. We work with surgery centers. One example, you can go and check out ohiosurgerycenter.com. The Ohio Surgery Center, what they do is they know what the allowables are for their different head and neck procedures, and they don't have to provide any cosmetic services. So what we do is that the consumer can choose what insurance plan they have, and then after they select the procedure, they can see what the allowable is for that particular procedure, for the surgeon's fee, the allowable for the surgeon's fee, the allowable for the insurance plan, the allowable for the surgeon, the allowable for the facility, and the allowable for the anesthesiologist. That is information the surgery center has in an Excel spreadsheet. You know what all their allowables are based on the insurance. So they just upload it to our platform, and so then the consumer can choose the insurance plan and then choose the procedure, and they get a breakdown of the allowable. And a lot of people have deductibles, $1,000 or more, and so they can see what their responsibility is going to be. It's pretty slick how it works, even for insurance plans, but for outpatient services.
That's brilliant. I love it. So maybe it's just a question from my perspective is, does the price estimator, does it work on other verticals like cosmetic dentistry and ophthalmology?
Yeah, no, we are already working with dentists, plastic surgeons, med spas, surgery centers, vascular surgeons, do a lot of laser vein therapy. We work with labs, with radiology facilities. So pretty much anything that is an outpatient service that's paid out of pocket, either because they haven't met their deductible for medically necessary or because it's cosmetic, we work with everybody. So, I mean, the only thing we don't really work with are hospitals with like inpatient stays where you're going to hit your deductible no matter what. So it's all outpatient service. We work with veterinarians, and also work with veterinarians.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yes, we work with everybody. The one other thing that people always ask is, how much does a price estimator cost if you embed this in your website? And it's $1,500 for a year. It's like $149 a month, but if you get an annual subscription, it's $1,500. You end up getting a month there. And that $1,500, the price estimator on your website, that includes the iPhone app, a listing on the iPhone app, a listing on our buildmybod.com website, which that lists all the doctors. But that $1,500 includes all that. And then if you want to sell non-surgical services through the price estimator, that doesn't cost you anything to make things available for purchase. But if somebody does purchase something, then we take 5% off the top and forward the rest of the proceeds to the doctor. So basically, we're just covering our merchant services. But the thing that's really cool about the purchasing option is that we're really finding a lot of people are adding these items to their cart to buy it, but to add it to your cart to see the price, you have to log in first. So we have a lot of doctors getting these abandoned cart emails, which is just another form of lead. So it's that a lot of leads I think the doctors are losing on with their stores, where it's just like anybody can come and see how much your services are with having to log in. So it's kind of cool that we're capturing leads in a way that those doctors never have before.
That's great, and thank you. It's a very reasonable price as well to get such a powerful tool. So it's great. Dr. Kaplan, thank you again for taking your time to be here with us today and to share such an important message with all of our database of our clients and others that know us as well. Want to wish everyone a happy and safe holiday, however you celebrate. Wish you all the best and happy New Year as well. We'll be back next month, but again, we'll see you on the other side. Dr. Kaplan, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chad. Merry Christmas.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.